Hello and welcome back to No Bullshit. Today we return to talking about Marvel comic books. This company has had some very troubled times over the years, even though their movies are doing extra great. They just had one of the biggest movies ever released last year called Avengers Endgame, and it turned out to be one of the most profitable movies of all time. In fact, it probably is the most profitable movie of all time still, and it was also one of the most expensive because this was the culmination of many years of films. I think around 13 were coming out since 2008, and it all concluded very nicely with Avengers Endgame. Now, unfortunately though, Marvel has had mixed success in its other endeavors. While the movies have been doing good up until Endgame, after that they've had some issues, and even before so, a lot of people were worried about Marvel, starting with Captain Marvel, which came out earlier last year before Avengers Endgame kind of sealed the deal and showed that everything was still great. But now we have other female-led projects going forward. Everything's turning into sort of an SJW mess, and this has spilled over from their comic book division. Marvel is all inspired by its comic books. These are comic book characters turned into movies and TV shows, but you got to start somewhere, and these comics are where the characters came from, and it's also where a lot of this SJW left-wing stuff is coming from too. It's been getting really over progressive there, really over the top with their messages, and it all culminated recently in a new issue that's come up this week. It's kind of a minor one, but I think it's very interesting, very telling, and kind of funny as well. What we've come across today is Marvel Entertainment has come up with this sort of Woman of Marvel podcast. It's a woman's podcast. It's a woman's world over at Marvel, and they're trying to push that as heavily as possible. They're all about gender identity, girl power is an obvious message there. That's why they pushed the whole feminist Brie Larson as Captain Marvel thing and had her sort of take over the Avengers. And then now girl power movies are coming out in the future too, like Black Widow, The Eternals, and then the next movie is a sort of Asian inspired film, like a kung fu movie. So it's all minorities, all girl led minority SJW stuff, and this is a new addition to this coming from their podcast. If you look right here, you can see a tweet from Marvel Entertainment. This just came out, and it says, J. Ann Lopez and Chelsea Quinto join a new Women of Marvel podcast to share the story behind their gaming collective, Black Girl Gamers. Okay, so first it's women, then it's black women. You can see how we get more and more specific here. It's all about identity. It's not about who you are or your personality or, how you treat people, the important stuff. Like, say, Martin Luther King Jr. talked about the content of your character instead of focusing on the color of your skin. But that's been thrown out the window. Leftists don't believe in that anymore. All they care about is how you were born, who your parents are, what color is your skin, and if you're not a white person, if you're not a male, and if you're not straight, you're going to get preferential treatment. I don't know why. I don't know why they have more value according to these people. These people are kind of messed up, focused on the wrong things, and that's why they're developing poor products and poor ideas and just terrible messages too, like this whole thing. Women of Marvel. I mean, first of all, why couldn't it just be people of Marvel? Why can't all people talk about Marvel and video games? And then on top of that, they have Black Girl Gamers, so getting more specific. So I think we could see why this is getting a little troublesome. Let's see what some of the responses say. You love to see it. Thank you guys. This is so much fun. This guy says cool, kind of looking ironic with this gif there. Oh my God, this is huge. I think some of these are sarcastic or maybe supportive, possibly ironically supportive. Good for them. How is this hero related? I don't know. I'm not sure. This is dope. Side notes, high levels of sodium detected. That's a sort of salty joke. Here, Alex makes a good point. He says, I'm not complaining, just pointing out hypocrisy, but why must it be Black Girl Gamers? Whatever happened to judging someone not by the color of their skin, etc., but the content of their character? So they went with the old MLK quote too. Good point by Alex. Reese's has a good response to that because they want to be seen as progressive and whites are evil. They haven't realized, though, that by trying to be diverse and doing positive discrimination, which is still discrimination, all the people who pray at the Church of Woke, I think I see where that's going, have become very istophobes. They call everyone else. They can't see it. So yeah, it's the kind of reverse racism. I mean, it's not really reverse. It's just racism, but that's kind of how you would put it in this situation because they think, these SJWs literally think you can't be racist to white people. So they think this action and this exclusion is justifiable, even though the hypocrisy, as pointed out already, this would be considered hypocritical or offensive if we came up with something like that. Like, what if I made a podcast called Men of Comic Books and then had a like a white man gamers YouTube handle and Twitter handle like this one right here on the screen. I mean, that would be considered racist. That would be offensive. I don't think it necessarily is, but it just goes to show how hypocritical these kinds of people are, and then also just how unaware and unabashedly pro-minority they are. It's kind of sickening. More on this on the Marvel website. It says, Women of Marvel on creating an inclusive space with Black girl gamers. Find out how Black girl gamers paved the way for the future of community. Okay, so this is another, I don't know how they got past this. I mean, it says it's written by Marvel. I don't know who the actual pen name was, but inclusive space that's only for Black girl gamers. I don't get that. Like, it's just an oxymoron right there. It's like, is it inclusive? Can everyone come in? Or are you just specifying a small group that could come in? I mean, there's nothing wrong with having small groups for your certain issues. Like, you could have a Indian male dance club or a Hispanic woman's charity event planning group. I don't know. I mean, there's nothing wrong with these groups, but the point is the hypocrisy. They wouldn't allow these groups, or they would starkly protest these groups if they went against a white group or an American or anything that's not their preference. If it was like a straight group, that wouldn't be cool. But according to them, this is. And it's also just disappointing to see Marvel, a beloved comic book company with great movies and great IP, going down this woke road again. Let's read on here, though. From arcade games to Marvel's Iron Man VR, Marvel has been mainstay of the gaming world since its humble beginnings. Today, the gaming community includes billions of players from all over the globe, including J.N. Lopez and Chelsea Cueto, whose legions of followers comprise their gaming collective, Black Girls Gamers. Okay, by the way, it's not that big of a deal. They say it is, but it's not really that big of an issue. Women of Marvel hosts Angelique and Judy recently called up JN and Chelsea to discuss how BGG has paved the way for the future of the community by creating a safe, inclusive space for women of color in gaming. Because so many of them need a space to, I don't know, what do they need a space for? To talk about video games? Like that wasn't there before. Speaking on the subject, JN revealed it's just about dismantling that over-dominating narrative about who says what a gamer is, and there's still people that try do that right now, but they're getting overridden because social media is democratizing everything. You can download and listen to the full episode here. So I think we're going to listen to a bit of that and see how it goes. I'm not expecting much out of this, but it is an interesting title. Black Girl Gamers on creating an inclusive place. It should be called exclusive, and it should be called an anti-white space, if you ask me. But let's go ahead and listen and see what they have to say.
You don't have to be great as a gamer to be in Black Girl Gamers. We're not testing your FPS skills. We're not testing. Like, I'm not the best. Like, I'm literally not the best. So who am I to say, no, you can't come in because you don't play this game or you don't play that game?
Welcome to the Women of Marvel podcast. I'm Judy Stevens.
I'm Sana Amanat.
And I'm Angelique Roche. And for this episode, Judy and I talked to two incredible women who are part of a community called Black Girl Gamers.
Okay, that's kind of an introduction. I think we already know where this is going, but I just want to point out their interesting names. Sana Amanat, Judy Stevens, not that creative, but Angelique Roche is definitely something special. And I think this just goes to show that these are the kinds of people that want attention. They want to be special. They want to be different, but they kind of struggle with it because they don't have a lot going for them. They don't have a lot of creative things in their lives. They don't have interests. They don't have cool hobbies. Sure, they talk about comics and maybe video games here, but the point is, these people have to fall back on their identity because that's the most interesting thing about them. And it's kind of sad when you think about it. If the best thing you could say about yourself is, hey, I'm black, hey, from my ancestors are from Africa or something, like that's not much to you. That means you're not a very interesting person. You don't have a skill. You're not an actor. You're not talking about your music or your family or your kids or anything like tangible, anything you've created yourself in your life. You're just falling back on your identity, something you were born with, which isn't really bad. I mean, there's nothing wrong with being who you are, but these people that are so focused on it, that's all they've got. And that's why they have to cling to this whole, I'm a minority, I'm a victim, I need to be pointed out and told that I'm special.
It's an online platform whose goal is to highlight Black women's voices in gaming.
By the way, right out the gate, I don't think there's a lot of Black women gaming that much. I'm sure they're out there. I'm not saying they don't exist, But first of all, 13% of our population is African American, and then half of that is African American women. So we're already whittled down to like a small percentage of our country, of the Western world as well. But just in general, I mean, is this even known to be a black woman thing? I don't think they don't play it. I mean, they could play it, but first of all, most people know that gaming is for dudes most of the time. A lot more guys tend to play, and I just don't know a lot of black women that are playing games, but maybe they are.
We've both been following Black Girl Gamers for a while now, and we were really excited to get them on the show.
They started out small, but now they have this huge following online, and they're continuing to grow, from streaming live on Twitch to having a Facebook group and a Discord channel, and they're super active on Twitter as well.
I think they call them Discord servers. I'm not trying to shame them. I don't know a lot about Discord myself, but I think they're a little overhyping this whole black girl gaming thing. I saw they had like 20,000 followers on Twitter. That's nothing to laugh at, but I mean, Twitter followers, anyone could get those. Twitter is kind of, anyone can pop up on there. It doesn't really require you to make a lot of good content. And maybe they have more people on Twitch, but they're not that big of a group.
We got to talk to Jayanne Lopez, who founded Black Girl Gamers back in 2015 and continues to run it today. And she told us what inspired her to create this space.
I think that gaming and women were just put in this box, and events are created from a male perspective. And I was like, no, we're going to flip it up. We're going to mix it up.
And we were also joined by Chelsea Cueto, who is a community manager for Black Girl Gamers. Basically, she keeps the train running.
Come in, have a drink, put some cucumbers on your eyes, and just chill out.
Yes.
She always describes it like a spa.
The best
the
way I can
describes it.
describe VGG is a spa day.
Oh my God, it's a spa day. Let's go get some mani-pedis. But really, these guys are pretty hard to listen to already. There's an annoying background noise in their podcast. It's just kind of like shaking, like I don't know. It's just too much. Like, I don't know if it needs to be softer, or I don't think they need background music at all. I know that helps with some videos and podcasts, but I find too much background is just, it's distracting. But that's besides the point. What we got here is a boring podcast from basically some silly SJW people who want to be special. They want to have their women space. They want to have a black girl gamer space. And we're not necessarily against that. I don't have anything against women or any of these races, of course. But the point is the hypocrisy and just the bad road that this Marvel situation is going down. Marvel Comics has been going really far left, really SJW, and it's super upsetting because we're big fans. We like to talk about their movies here a lot in different videos. Usually it's complain about SJW stuff, but I've done positives too. I've talked about Avengers. I just shouted out Avengers Endgame at the beginning of this video. I obviously like what they're doing. I like their characters. There's some of my favorite characters of all time. Spider-Man has always been my favorite comic book character and one of my favorite stories ever. Granted, his later movies, his newer series isn't my favorite, but I still enjoy it and I like to see where it's going. And I just hate to see it take over by stuff like this, because now they're talking about, I've actually heard a rumor that Spider-Man is going to team up with Captain Marvel or something. That would be a nightmare. And I just wouldn't be surprised though, because the way this thing's going, all girls in Marvel, it's all lady power, all this BS, which to me, the problem with that is, no, it's not like I'm anti-girl myself, but it seems anti-male to me. And it seems anti-white as well when they support and push up these minorities and then talk about this sort of inclusive space that's really very exclusive when you break it down. That about wraps up today's video. I think you guys get the point. Make sure you tell me what you think about everything, though, in the comments below. I'll be reading and responding when I get a chance. And also, I'll be getting another video ready for you guys. So make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit that like button to support this channel. And until next time, you guys have a great day.